Hey there, got an unboxing of sorts for this SECANOX, kind of a cool Wildcat logo there. EDC knife comes in this kind of unnecessary but nice faux carbon fiber vinyl zipper case. Has both instructions and a capture net on the inside. The knife itself. So we got the silica packet in there. Probably much easier to use this side of the case, as you'll notice, and does hold it pretty well. Most of the time, people like myself and probably you are going to be more reliant on just using the pocket clip. This is one of the best bang for the buck knives I've found. Durability, time will tell. However, this is a button lock. It is Damascus steel. It has 3 ways of opening. It has a carbon fiber coated G10 handle, steel frame as best as I know, nice low profile pocket clip there, and which doesn't seem to catch too much on things passing by when it's in your pocket. And it actually has a nice grip to it with a staged handle. I've had pocket knives since the 80s. I still remember my first one. And I've never had a button lock. It also has a nice lanyard hole, and it's pretty easy to take down with 6 Torx head screws on each side. Well, 3 on each side, 6 total. So my favorite way to open it so far has just been to use the flipper tab. There is a little spring tension, which I actually think feels great. The button lock does drop the blade quite nicely. You can see it has a little swing to it. And move these out of the way for focus reasons. And the Damasteel is 38 layers on each side of a VG10 core, to sound like an Amazon ad. It is unique on each side. You can tell the pattern is not identical, layered by hand more or less around a really solid core. It comes with this, what I call a buoy drop point, or a drop buoy point blade shape. It does have a little bit of that upswept with the curved back belly. The jimping is very minimal. I do wish the jimping went further down into this thumb cavity. However, it's really deep, and it may not look that so much on camera, but you can really feel it, and it really does. I mean, when you push down on it, your thumb isn't going anywhere. Also has a little bit of a nice finger choil created by the flipper tab, along with just the general blade shape. Now, when this does get wet, and I have tested it, when it's damp, it is slicker, so it does not improve the grip like some grips can be improved upon by getting wet. However, it has a nice kind of what I call a dry tack. It feels good in the hand. You can kind of hear it, and it doesn't feel slick. And I was really concerned that it would feel slick, and that would be a reason to return the knife, quite frankly. Also has a thumb stud on both sides. However, the pocket clip is not ambidextrous. It cannot be moved to the opposite side. I think the bang for the buck, this at the time of this video in early 2025 ran me $40. I think that's an incredible deal for a Damasteel carbon faced, very sharp out of the box blade with a button lock and a lanyard hole and all these features. The thumb studs are definitely the hardest way to open it, and I feel like you run the risk of catching your thumb on the blade, which I kind of just did. Not enough to obviously cut myself, but enough to be not real comfortable. It's in a position with the blade running well past the thumb stud where I think that's borderline an unsafe way to open it. The one thing I do like about it is you can feel a spring tension against this that really does take a good tug to go, and it's something easily released through the flipper tab, but it does take some pressure, which I like. I don't like it to be something that's, when you got a button lock that's favoring gravity to open and close, you don't want something that has no spring tension and would drop in your pocket. And this definitely, while it has a tiny bit of shake to it, tiny bit of play, there's no play when it's locked out, and you can see the button groove in there and kind of how that captures on that slightly staged part of the channel there that the button lock bolt more or less goes through. And you can also see the core, that VG10 core I was mentioning. Oops. It's a little hard to focus on that. There's the core line. You can see right there. You get kind of at the perfect distance. So it's kind of cool to see both sides. I did nick myself with the tip, so that's real fun. And let's do a little paper cut testing here. Okay, with the blade here. Well, this is a little damp. May not be the best example, but it sure enough, yeah, it's too wet. I don't know why. I think this literally came out of the mailbox wet. I'll use a newspaper here to show the difference. Here's a newspaper test with it nice and dry. Obviously a little hard to get started. There we go. But while I do think there's room for some slight additional sharpening to really hone in the blade, I mean, you can see that's not tearing to make a nice razor cut. Once it gets started, it's pretty impressive. So anyway, I think for the bang for the buck, for getting all these features, this is a really tough knife to pass up, and I'm really glad I happened to have purchased it. It's really fun to have a button lock, not just for the fidgeting factor, but oh, and this is on ball bearings, just so you're aware. That should not need to be oiled or tension changed on the pivot point, because the ball bearings are greatly assisting you with the opening and the closing of the knife. So if you want to use the button to open it, the problem is by the time it opens, your thumb typically can't let go of the button fast enough to get it to lock in place. So it takes some definite timing to get that lined up, and you kind of run the risk that when you think it's locked, if you fell just a little short and went to use it right away, it might kind of collapse on you. So it's fun to practice. It's mostly for closing, and it does offer a great lock, but I don't know that I'd recommend opening it for immediate use with the button. Anyway, great knife from SECANOX, and one that I see myself keeping for a long, long time. I will say, so my only gripe, literally the only thing I can find that I'm a little disappointed with on the knife, is the placement of the clip. I do wish that was up here and they had figured out a way to reposition that bolt maybe closer to the edge, or which I know runs a risk of not getting in the way of the knife blade itself, so that, you know, the positioning of that becomes kind of critical to the design of the handle. And keeping the lanyard hole open, the clip also gets mighty close to that hole. I just wish the clip had run up here, or that they had figured out a way to use that bolt through the clip as well. Since you can't move it anyway, might as well have locked it in the design of the frame with the bolts going through it, and had the clip be that much closer to the top so that it sits really flush in the pocket. Speaking of pockets, this is how it sits in the pocket. With it all the way down, you get that kind of a sit. So it's definitely not flush. Like I said, if that was a little closer to the top, probably that much more of the knife would be sitting down in there. But it is a nice firm clip, and I do think it does the job fine. It's just not the best of concealed if you're wearing a shorter shirt. Anyway, this is a really fun knife, and one I see myself using for a very long time. Thanks for watching.